What's up?
So how's the practice gone so far?
Well, today was the third time we actually got together, and like most early season practices, there was a bunch of really good stuff and some not so good stuff, but the players that we expected to be pretty good were pretty good, and the ones that um, you know still have a lot of work to do. So it's not that much different than most early season practices. We're a lot thinner than we have been in the past. So we got to make sure that we get contributions from more than just the returning three starters from last year.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned that you were thinner than you have been in years past.
Yeah.
How are you looking to fill those gaps?
I think that's what that's what practice is going to be about. We're going to have to figure out who can contribute and in what manner. Like I said, we're going into the season, into the practices anyway, where we know for certain that we have three players that are experienced, that have played a lot of basketball at Connecticut, Lou and Feast and Crystal. And then beyond that, we probably have to identify who those other people are. And I think it'll start emerging. I think it'll start emerging. At some point in the next week or so, we'll get an idea of who can do what. That's one of those years where there's not a lot of certainty. So that's kind of unusual.
Okay. What are your expectations for Nafisa heading into this season?
It's interesting because Fisa's sophomore year, she was so dominant. It was like you couldn't make it up. It's like if you wrote a book about it, hey, this kid, every time she touches it, she scores. It would have been fiction, but it was real. She actually did that. And then last year was a little bit of a struggle for her, and yet at the same time, it was probably a great year by any stretch of the imagination. So we're going to need her to get back to her sophomore year, where she's averaging 18, 19 a game or something like that. That's your senior year at Connecticut, and I think she knows that's what we're going to need from her if we're going to have the kind of success that we're used to.
Earlier this summer, Megan talked a lot about how she'd really been increasing the intensity of her training. Have you seen that kind of transfer over into practice early on?
Yeah, there has been, both from the preseason, workouts, before we even started the other day, to now. There's been a big difference in the way Megan looks, the way she carries herself, and what she's able to get done, and I think even what she expects of herself to get done. So from that standpoint, it's a different, it's like watching a different person play basketball. And as I told her and a couple of the other players today, now every day it's a matter of sustaining it, being able to do it for long periods of time, especially when you get fatigued and you get banged around a little bit. And then, but just based on the first 3 days, it's night and day from last year, for sure.
How much progress are you seeing from the freshmen, just from spring until now?
I think it varies. It's always easier on the guards. They have a much easier job of adjusting to college basketball. So Kristen is probably adapting a little bit easier than Olivia would. And again, that's the nature of the position that they play. Kristen is very aggressive, very assertive with the ball, without the ball, it doesn't matter. And that's really helped her early on. And Olivia, not so much. You know, she's not, by nature, not that kind of aggressive kid. So it's going to take her, you know, a little bit of time, but she's really skilled, so she'll catch up.
You said you mentioned to Megan that she had to sustain this for a few more days, and also to a few other players. Has somebody else looked good early on that you just need to continue that?
I was saying mostly in general that we, when we practice, you know, we're a certain kind of team the first hour of practice, and we're a different team the second hour of practice. And a lot of that has to do with, you know, right now, you know, when you're just getting started playing basketball, I don't care how much you train, how much you do in the off season, you're not ready to play basketball. And we're trying to, you know, impress upon our players that that's the key. That's what we're building towards, you know, every day in practice, to be able to sustain that kind of intensity, that kind of effort for an entire practice. And then to be able to do that every day, so it becomes part of who you are come game day. And you don't have to change much. You don't have to worry about anything. And it's funny, you know, some of the guys that are in great condition, you know, struggle to get things done playing-wise. And some of the guys that can make a lot of plays struggle to, you know, stay alive for 2 hours. So it's the world, you know, it's the basketball world. And we're going to be challenged in ways this year that I think we haven't been challenged in a long, long time.
How so? I mean, what kind of new challenges do you expect?
I mean, right off the bat, you know, you have, you know, if you think back to what our bench looked like when Lou, Fisa were freshmen, and what it looks like today. And it's a completely different scenario. So to be able to find more contributors other than the 3 starters from last year is going to be more of a challenge than it has been here in a long, long time.
Do you see the potential there for it, though?
I mean, you know, obviously there is, but you know, we've got players that are going to have to embrace specific roles. I mean, that's evident already. I mean, you're not going to ask Kyla and Molly and you know, Michaela, who didn't play hardly at all during the summer, you know, or almost the whole end of last year, to come in and go, hey guys, listen, when we sub you guys in, I don't want anything to change between Lou, Fisa, Crystal, and you guys. I mean, that's just not realistic. That's not realistic, not even one bit, you know. You know, it was and I just think that's the reality of it, and people on the team will embrace certain roles. This is my role. This is what I have to do. When I'm in the game, this is what I have to do. And if we can get all that in one place, and that takes time, you know. This isn't a couple years ago where we come out of the bat, get on a plane, fly to Ohio State, and win by 50. That's not the kind of team that we have this year. So.
Does this team this year remind you of any teams from the years past, or is it not even fair to like compare them to the other years?
I mean, it's hard, but you know, when you have as many graduation losses as we've had the last 3 years, you know, it's been so easy to just keep replacing those players year after year after year after year that it almost makes it look like it's automatic, that it just happens. So, you know, you think back to some of our teams that had to overcome a lot of graduation, you know, like Diana's junior and senior year, you know, when, you know, so many starters were gone. You know, it's back to, you know, those times when people have to, you know, there's like a wide variety. You know, we've got 2 or 3 good players that are like up here among the 3 best players in the country at their position. And then we've got a lot of players that are trying to find their way, and that hasn't happened in a long time. But every team goes through that. We just haven't had to. So now it's our turn.
Are the kids excited about getting back to first night after not having it last year?
Yeah. I mean, they like this kind of stuff. They're in there yelling and screaming, messing around with the guys, and doing the kind of stuff that this night is all about. The students were lined up since 10 o'clock this morning to get into the building. They know all that. They feel all that. And, October is always a special time of the year for a basketball player. It's the beginning of what you hope is going to be something great. And especially at Connecticut, the way it begins at Connecticut, with what we have, here, what's going to be in the building tonight. You don't get very many places around the country that's going to have the atmosphere that we're going to have, tonight between 7 and 8 o'clock.
What Nafisha's time with the national team, Chief? What differences have you seen since she's come back? Anything?
She'll be the first to tell you that the physicalness of the game and the tempo of the game is a little bit different in the pros, and especially not just with the pros, with the absolute best pros, in a lot of ways. So I think it's helped her see that there's a whole another level that she needs to get to if she wants to be among those people in the future. Before you actually spend time with those people, you think you have an idea like, hey, I need to get better. Well, what's that mean? Well, now she knows firsthand. This is what it means. It means I've got to be able to do all these things that I'm not sure that I knew that before I got here.
Some kids come in here leaders already, and sometimes you have to teach people how to be leaders. They have to learn how to be leaders. How would you characterize this group of upperclassmen and leaders on this team, and are they giving you what you want?
I think in the general sense, you're finding that it's less and less prevalent that kids come out ready to lead. It just is. I've noticed that over the years. So it's a little more of a difficult task to, first of all, identify kids who want to lead, because when you say I want to lead, you're putting yourself out there, and that's not really what the world is all about today. They put themselves out there, but not in a way that we're asking them to put themselves out there. This isn't about, hey, put on Instagram that you're a leader. This is like actually doing it, and then when you don't do it, here's the circumstances. But having said that, we changed some things. We did some things in the springtime that I think have helped Lou, and especially Lou, because she didn't play. So she wasn't able to do a lot of the workouts because of her surgery. So she was able to sit back and kind of observe, where everybody was, what everybody was doing, what it looked like. Sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you don't see it. So she's been able to see it, and she's really taken to it, and I see her every day. I see the effects of what happened in the spring and how much she was involved with them, and during the summer, and then in September. A lot of what's happening in college sports right now is, the kids have a schedule. It's almost like it's too easy. Here's what time I get up. Here's what time my class is. This is what time we have lunch. This is what time we have practice. This is when I meet with my tutors. This is when I have study hall, and then repeat for 5 months every day. And after a while, it's like, so when do you get to decide anything? You don't. So what we did is we didn't do any of that this spring, and the whole summer, and almost all of September. We just said, listen, you guys are in charge. Whatever you guys want to do, it's on you. And they ended up having, Lou and Crystal a lot, Fisa a little bit. Just, okay, if we want to play, we got to organize it. If we want to do some workouts, we got to do it. We got to take the initiative and do it. And this is how long we're going to do it. This is what it's going to look like, so that they own it more. Coach told us we have to play at 3:30. I didn't say that. Play if you want. Don't play if you don't want. But if they play now, it's because they want to play. And that's the way, people forget. We used to not be able to talk to our players, on the court and vie with them until October 15th. So all of September, half of October, we weren't able to do anything with them. Now all of a sudden, people are starting practice in the middle of September. And they're doing 2 hours a week and the stuff in the summer. It's like, we had some pretty good teams when we weren't allowed to do anything till October 15th. And players, I think, appreciated it. You were a new voice October 15th. Like, kids are excited. Rebecca Lobo coming in my office, Coach, I can't wait for practice to start, man. Why? I'm like sick of pickup games. I'm sick of the way this is. Like, I want real practice to start. Last time somebody said that to me, Rebecca Lobo, 1995.
What do you think of Coach Hurley coming to a practice, him wanting to come over and observe what you're doing?
Oh, he's been threatening to do that since he got here, I'm going to stop over and practice. And we really didn't do a whole lot. We didn't do much. But it was probably completely different than his first practice. I think, my first practice when I got to Connecticut was way different than my first practice today. And if he's here 30 years, his first practice won't be the same as it was this year, because it's all, you're trying to put a stamp on things, and trying to be. So what we did was all offensive stuff that I wanted them to get familiar with, which is probably completely different than some of the stuff that they do. But, it's unfortunate that we practice at the exact same time. I mean, it's great for the kids, but it's unfortunate for us coaches because we don't get to see each other practice.
But he's talking
Like we
about
used to.
learning how, because you're so successful learning. He wanted to do it to see, to see how you do things because you have so much success.
Yeah, what'd he say?
I guess you're a genius. I guess.
Yeah, I'm a genius.
No, but that's,
Yeah, we'll see.
He likes to go. He went to the Celtics. He likes to
Oh
go
yeah,
to the next.
absolutely.
He likes to
People sometimes forget that we as coaches, we just had a college men's coach here yesterday, spent all day and all night, with me. Coaches love to go watch other coaches practice, and it doesn't matter whether it's high school, college, pros. It doesn't matter. When coaches have any free time when they're not coaching, they like to go watch other people practice. As soon as somebody's out of a job in the basketball world, first thing they do is they get on a plane and they go everywhere to watch practice. And while they're doing it, they go, I hate this. I hate travel. I hate practice. The minute you're not, you want to go see how other people do things. Because there's a constant, this feeling of like, I want to know more than I know. I want,
Right.
at least by the good coaches anyway.
Right.
So I'm not surprised, that he's going around, and that's what good coaches do. They pick up stuff from other coaches, and over the years, that's what I've done from across the way, and that's the world, man. That's if you're not learning all the time, if you're standing still. And the game's changing so much now. I was talking to somebody recently. I said, man, it's going to be a real challenge this year. We can't pass the ball with the shit. And somebody said, what? I said, yeah, we led the country in assists like the last, couple of years or whatever. I said, that ain't going to happen this year. We can't pass. They go, why not? I go, we just can't. Like, we're not as good a passing team. And he said, well, we have to run some offense where you don't have to pass it. That comes from, really, I got that. Let me look at my Rolodex. Offenses where you don't have to pass it.
Well, you had that with Diana.
She was a great passer, fortunately, but, and I think that's what ends up happening. That's one of the challenges that we have this year. You talk about all the challenges. Our team, when you watch our team play, the ball's moving a lot. People are moving a lot. There's lots of stuff going on, and you see some teams play, and there's not a lot going on. There's cross half court, guy makes a pass, cuts, next guy catches it, guy comes up, sets a high ball screen, let's go. You know why? It's easy, doesn't take a lot of thought, and you just keep doing it, and you keep getting good stuff out. I've never played that way, and now, Coach, what's your favorite play? Head tap, high ball screen.
I think Dan's exact words were championship culture oozes out from watching your practice. But just seriously, when a coach, particularly someone with this background, comes to watch your practice, what do you hope they take away from it?
That there's a lot of different ways to do things. He's grown up in a way, and I'm sure when he was with his dad, you know, growing up, he learned a certain way to do it. And then when he went to college, you know, with PJ, it was a different way to do it. And then with Coach Blaney, it was a different way to do it. And, you know, you're exposed to a lot of different things. So he's been exposed to a lot of really, really good coaches, you know, growing up and as a player. And I think the thing that I want people to notice when they come to watch us practice is how consistent we are with our effort and how that never varies. I don't care what year. Those of you that have run around a long time with our program, you know, you come to practice every day for 15 years, it's going to look the same. It's going to sound the same. It's going to have the same feel. And the pace is going to be a certain way, and it's going to be like that all the time. And you want coaches, I think, to take away that there is a pace that your kids can play at, but you got to make them do it. And you say, well, some kids don't want to do it. Right. But kids that play on winning teams, like he said, in a culture of winning, they want to do it. You don't have to beg them to do it. You don't have to threaten them to do it. You know? So people come to watch us practice. I say, hey, listen, this is what we do, and this is how we've done it for 30 years. Now, that doesn't mean you can go home and do the same thing. But this is what we do. And from what I heard, you know, it's, you know, we've lost 3 games in 5 years. And we're actually right now, I'm talking to you guys on a losing streak. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to be received tonight when we walk over there.
Letting go of the reins to the players, was that in search of captains or in search of leaders? Did you just want somebody to step up? Is that why you did it differently?
Yeah, I did it differently because I want players to take ownership. I want them to feel like this is my team. This is our team. You know, and I think too many times today, you know, kids are directed to play, you know, from a young age. Get in the car, we're going to go play. Come on, when you were a kid, well, some of you guys did because you're way younger than me, but who got in their car and went to go play someplace with their parents? You went and you played. You found a place to play. You did it on your own, and you loved it. So now today, it's more of a culture of let's go play, let's go in a gym, has to be lights, can't be cold, the air conditioning has to be on, and you kind of lose that feeling of just playing for the love of the joy of playing, and I wanted them to get that back. And believe it or not, there's a difference. I mean, I see it, I can feel it, you know, and I think this team's got a different vibe than last year. You know, for whatever reason. I mean, every team's different. Hell, last year we had everybody back, and we had a different vibe than the year before. So every team's different. But I can feel it. I bet you we tried to get more offensive rebounds in the first 2 days of practice than we did all last year. Maybe they know something. If Lou ain't shooting it, there's a pretty good chance it's an offensive rebound.
Where is this year's team at so far in your mind in terms of the effort and the consistency?
Yeah, that's all good. Their effort's been great. It really has. Their energy level's been great. Everything's been great. That part of it's been great. Some of the other stuff, some of the, you know, really skill stuff, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. You know, there's been somewhat of a, you know, those of you that have been around, there's been somewhat of a pattern at Connecticut, you know, over the last 15 years or so, where, you know, every class that we have has like 2 either returning All-Americans, potential All-Americans, or All-American type players. So there isn't that gap in the transition. It just goes from one year to another. 2 people leave, 2 more people come in, 2 people leave, 2 more people come in, and it just keeps rolling. And these last couple of years, you know, circumstances being what they are, there isn't that 2 where you got that many. So just based on the actual skill level, we're going to have to work a little bit harder to get the same things done that we got last year. They came a little bit easier.
Coach, how do you feel about the return of first night?
I like it. You know, I'm a big fan of it because, you know, the students are this is their first thing, you know, this is their deal. This is really for them, and then the fans that, you know, we walked outside early this morning, CD said, there's people standing in line at 10 o'clock. And we go, our students? He goes, no, like regular people. And their kids are like, what are you doing? He goes, I played hooky from school just so I could come here. It's like, man, it's an hour, not even scrimmage, like stupid stuff. But this is where, like, it all starts. This is where you start to get your, you know, first fix of college basketball. And college basketball is pretty important up here. And the kids know it, the fans know it, and each year they can't wait for it. And our players are no different. Players are exactly the same. They're excited about being over there. They're over there practicing dunking, and, you know, Olivia's over there trying to dunk for the guys because, you know, it'll be the only dunk she gets in her career here. Maybe she'll get one during the season, who knows, but it's a night to do fun stuff that you never do the rest of the year. Some of the stuff that you're going to see over there, you just close your eyes and go, all right, let's get this one over with. But it's fun for the kids, it's fun for the fans, it's fun for the students. It's a great night all the way around.